I am your host Dumont, and today's video is one of those that's going to make you go, yes! Alright, no, I am not going to do a review of Godzilla Final Wars on this movie, because I'm pretty sure that if you search on YouTube, you'll find someone has already done a review of this really cool movie. So instead, what I am going to do is something more unique. I am going to do basically a little talk about this movie in relation to Bakugan. Now, obviously, if you are a Godzilla fan, then this movie is definitely a must-have. If you don't know a whole lot about Godzilla, or you're just getting into it, then this movie is also good for you, because you know, it kind of gives you like a major broad understanding of what Godzilla movies are kind of like, and they kind of like put in a lot of previous creatures, you know, from a whole bunch of Godzilla movies and similar type of monster movies, and they shoved them all in here. So that's kind of cool. Not every single one is in here, but a lot of them make their appearance in here. So of course, one of the things is, you know, Godzilla right here. You know, he's not a T-Rex. You know, his head is a little bit too small to be a T-Rex type, and so he's sort of kind of like a dragon too. And maybe this Bakugan, this is the original Dragonoid. Obviously, they are giant creatures on the planet Vestroia. Maybe they are not as big as Godzilla. Definitely not. You know, to where they could go through skyscrapers and stuff like that. But they seem pretty huge. In fact, I think there was one episode where a lot of the Vestroia creatures came down to Earth, and they were causing a lot of havoc, almost like a Godzilla movie. So there are kind of relations, and I know Dragonoid is nothing like Godzilla, but he reminds me a lot of it just because he is the main character, just like over here. You know, although this one is a flying dragon, and this one is not really a dragon, so, you know, but you get the idea. You know what I'm talking about. The story is really not all that, and the biggest flaw of the movie is that there's way too much human stuff going on. But definitely the highlight, the best part of this movie is when the monsters come out, all the different monsters, and when they fight. That is definitely the coolest part of the movie, and you're gonna see a whole bunch. Like, you're gonna see one called Rodan, and you know, kind of reminds me of Falconeer here. There's another one that is a lobster. In Bakugan, we don't have a lobster guy yet, but the closest thing I can find is a crab guy, Terror Claw, right? You're gonna find one that's almost like a dragon, snake type guy, and that is, you know, you can look at a Serpenoid. This one is a Rattleoid. And then, of course, there's the famous Mothra, very likable. Mothra, the closest thing is maybe Skyrus, or I don't have a Skyrus, so maybe a Cosmic Ingram, maybe even an Oberus, you know, it just depends. And then, of course, there is Kamacuras, definitely, who is a mantis. So, you know, a lot of these creatures in the Bakugan world look like they could be creatures in the Godzilla world, you know. So there's so many more that I haven't named. To me, these are the closest ones that would be in a Godzilla movie. Another one, the toxic monster in the Godzilla movie called Hedorah. The closest one that I could find to that maybe would be maybe this guy, Tentacleer, even though they really have nothing to do with each other. When I first saw this movie, I knew that Mechagodzilla was missing, and I didn't really care too much. But after doing some research, and especially watching a video of from a very special toy line called Chogokin, they made a Mechagodzilla that was just absolutely phenomenal. It looks like a very, very nice toy, or should I say it's a collectible toy. And after watching that, Mechagodzilla has quickly become one of my favorite characters in the Godzilla line. Unfortunately, like I said, he is not in this movie. And to me, Bakugan-wise, the closest thing to Mechagodzilla would definitely be Helios right here. This version, this mechanical Helios, is perfect rival of, you know, this is I guess the Bakugan version of Godzilla. So I think this is really great right here, and just makes the stock for Helios go up even more. Like I said, unfortunately in this movie, Mechagodzilla is not in there, but instead you get Gigan. Gigan is not mechanical completely, or he's not a robot, but he is a cyborg. You know, so he is biomechanical. So he is, you know, living organism plus mechanical parts. And Gigan is really cool. However, I do think Mechagodzilla is cooler. But what they did was, in this movie, Gigan gets defeated, and he comes back. And he comes back really, really pumped up. They definitely improved him big time. And Gigan has like blades for his arms. And what they did was they brought him back with double chainsaws on each arm, and he has like this huge turbo pack on his back, and he looks really, really cool. So I believe the Godzilla fans call it Chainsaw Gigan. And anyway, so the closest thing that I could think of to Gigan for the Bakugan world would definitely be Fear Ripper. I don't have him, so I can't show you Fear Ripper, but to me, that guy, Fear Ripper, is the closest to Gigan. And having two Gigans in this movie, I guess it sort of makes up for not having Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla may be Godzilla's nemesis, but Godzilla's ultimate villain, to me, was always King Ghidorah. Now, King Ghidorah, the Bakugan equivalent would be Alpha Hydronoid, which is the three-headed version. He's not out yet. He will be coming out soon. Now, they also, in the Godzilla series, they made a mechanical version of King Ghidorah, and in the Bakugan world, that is Hades, obviously. So in this movie, you see, there's a three-headed dragon right here, so I was like, oh, is that King Ghidorah? Awesome! This movie's gonna have King Ghidorah. So even if it doesn't have Mechagodzilla, if it has King Ghidorah, I am totally happy. I'm satisfied. So I checked the back of the box of this DVD box, and it kind of tells you which monsters make a feature. And it didn't say King Ghidorah, so I was very worried, and I didn't know what to really expect. So, you know, I bought the movie anyway, and as I started watching it, and you know, it was really enjoyable. But I was going, you know, but I want to see King Ghidorah. I want to see King Ghidorah. So anyway, at the very end, this monster shows up, and it's called Monster X, and that one is the main bad guy of this film. And Monster X and Godzilla duke it out. Now, the way Monster X looks is very much like this guy right here, Percival. Monster X has basically he has like a dragon type head, but he has a humanoid body. Gee, you know, that's just like Percival in his character form. And then he has like these half dragon heads, you know, on his shoulder. Now Percival has these half dragon heads right here, and in the character, you know, those are his gauntlets. So that's kind of cool. In this one, Monster X has it on his shoulder. So instead of on his arms, they're on his shoulder. But either way, the idea is very, very similar. So that, to me, you know, Monster X is totally Percival. Now, what was really cool was this Monster X, after he gets beat up by Godzilla, Godzilla just lays the smackdown on him. And after that, Monster X evolves. And Monster X evolves into this guy right here, which pretty much is an homage, is just like King Ghidorah. The neck is thicker, but it's pretty much, you know, very similar. The only main difference I noticed is that, aside from the neck being maybe slightly thicker, is that this one has 4 legs. King Ghidorah only had 2 legs. This one is almost like a centaur. So it has 4 legs, and that's really, really cool too. So they have a great battle, and that was totally awesome. So, you know, that fight alone made it worth it. Another quick point in this movie, a highlight of this movie was when this Godzilla, the Japanese Godzilla, faces the Hollywood version of Godzilla, the one that's just called Zilla. And obviously Godzilla in Japan is called Gojira. So you have Gojira versus Zilla, and this one basically puts that one away like it was a bad habit, you know, like if that movie never even existed. So that was really refreshing to watch, and that's probably one of the highlights in the movie. So definitely check it out. This movie is made by a Japanese movie company called Toho. Toho is just like saying Paramount, you know, just 20th Century Fox. You know, it's just a movie company. Now, they made Godzilla, and it was extremely, extremely popular. So another movie company, totally different, called Toei, which is like saying, you know, TriStar Pictures, you know, just a completely different company, made something very, very similar, and that was called Gamera. And Gamera, of course, was the main character of their show, and he was the good guy, and he was a monster, and he fought other monsters, basically. And he is a giant turtle. So there you go. This is Juggernaut. So, you know, Bakugan-wise, Juggernaut to me is Gamera, and, you know, Dragonoid to me is Godzilla.